And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a truly fantastic day today. You see the title of the video. So apparently Maverick Carter, longtime friend of LeBron James, I believe. I'm not sure if it's his business partner or whatever, but apparently is involved with trying to rally a group of investors to invest in a new league to rival the NBA. And so before we get into what Stephen A. Smith had to say about it, let's just check out this article from CBS Sports. And it says, investors are reportedly trying to create a rival league to the NBA, but they're facing an uphill battle. Says in 1949, the Basketball Association of America merged with the National Basketball League to become the National Basketball Association. The NBA has been the dominant professional basketball league of the United States ever since, though not for lack of attempted competition. In the 75 plus years since the NBA was born, at least 31 professional basketball leagues have played a game in the United States. Their levels of success vary wildly, but what they have in common today is that none of them serve as direct and meaningful competition to the NBA. A group of investors is reportedly trying to change that, according to a recent report by Bloomberg. Longtime LeBron James ally Maverick Carter is advising the group as it seeks to raise $5 billion to launch a legitimate competitor to the NBA. The basic premise would be to form 6 men's and 6 women's teams that would play in 8 different cities across the globe, spending 2 weeks at a time in each of them. Despite the association with Carter, James himself is not involved with the project. Investors could reportedly include private equity groups and sovereign wealth funds who can currently invest in NBA teams but can't own them outright or govern them. They are currently limited to 20% stakes, and we'll hold up right there. So apparently Maverick Carter is advising the groups, and apparently LeBron James is not involved in this. Now, so I was watching a clip with Stephen A. Smith, and Stephen A. Smith basically was saying that, hey, there is no way you can get me to believe that Maverick Carter is involved and LeBron James has nothing to do with it. And I think I probably agree with that. For the simple fact that, I can't see something like that going down without the deer trying to have something to do with that. And on top of the fact that, Stephen A. Smith basically said that this is probably a response to the fact that in all likelihood, LeBron James will not get to own an NBA team. And Stephen A. Smith's reasoning behind this is because basically saying that, hey, the owners of the NBA, LeBron is not their favorite person. LeBron James has done things throughout the entirety of his career that the owners believe go against their direct interests. In other words, has gone against things that could potentially make them more money, has gone against things that could protect the NBA. And then they kind of got into talking about Michael Jordan and the fact that David Stern actually helped Michael Jordan become an owner. And it was a couple of other names that they mentioned, but basically saying that because of everything that Michael Jordan had done for the NBA and how Michael Jordan conducted himself throughout his career, that Michael Jordan had allies in that process of being able to become an NBA owner. Now, and so, yeah, basically saying, hey, LeBron James doesn't have that. Like, owners do not think highly of LeBron James. So, basically, Stephen A. Smith is saying that, hey, I don't believe LeBron James is not involved in this alternate basketball league because he's likely not going to get to be an owner in the NBA. So, first of all, let's talk about this alternate basketball league. My personal thoughts on this is I'm all for an alternate basketball league, but I am not for an alternate basketball league that has anything to do with LeBron James. I'm not for that at all. Just because, again, LeBron James has ruined the NBA. So if he has anything, or people who hang around LeBron, whether it's Rich Paul or Maverick Carter, any of those guys who I believe all have the same type of mentality, I don't want to see a basketball league coming from anybody associated with LeBron James, because at the baseline of it, it's not going to be competitive. To me, it's going to be very much about, marketing and well, number one, if it turns out LeBron James have something to do with it, you better believe once the league is going, it's going to be LeBron James in the headlines for everything that has to do with the league. But outside of that, the thought of a new league, this kind of goes back to what I've been saying on this channel over and over again, and that is, people never believe the worst can happen until the worst happens. Everybody always thinks, I've heard them say on these debate shows many times over, oh, well, the NBA could never run out of money, and this year it's projected that players are going to be making this much, and again, yes, that's based off of where things are now. But to me, when you don't take into consideration that the fans who helped build the NBA to popularity, that is my generation, that is the generation a little older and a little younger than me, we are the ones who built the NBA to this magnitude of popularity. When you start isolating the core fan base, to me, that is a recipe for disaster. So I would love to see an alternate league pop up, but I think what it's going to have to be is going to take somebody to really look at the NBA and not only look at what's wrong with the NBA, but to me, who is actually going to listen to the fans and understand from a fan perspective what we're seeing that is wrong with the NBA. And I think if someone with that mindset created a new league, it could be a serious problem for the NBA. Now, obviously, something like that is going to take years to grow, but I think it could be the start of a serious competitor for the NBA to happen. Because the bottom line is this, is, like I said many times over, at the core of all sports, I don't care if you're talking about tennis or hockey, football, basketball, baseball, at the core of all sports is competition. And no matter how much they try to sell us that this NBA is so competitive, like that, this is just outright lies that they're telling us, right? Anybody who, and everything is relative. Everything is, depends on what you're comparing it to. But again, for the fans, those of us who were part of the generation that actually helped grew the game. And that is the generation of Michael Jordan. The generation who grew up on Michael Jordan. The generation who grew up on Larry and Magic. The generation who grew up on Kobe. But I would say mostly the generation who grew up on Michael Jordan. For those of us who know what real competitive basketball looks like, you cannot fool us. You can't keep telling us how competitive this league is and expect that we're just going to believe it because you tell it to us. Because there's so many things about the game. And this is what really drives me crazy, is that it's so obvious. The things that you can point to in the game to say, this shows you that the game is not competitive as it used to be. It's clear. It's clear as day for anybody who wants to see it. LeBron James fanboys, you guys don't want to see it because you're too busy with your knee pads on. But if you take your knee pads off and get up and actually look at the game, it is not hard to see. And yeah, this is probably going to go into a bit of a rant. Because I don't know how much more I have to say about the thing with Stephen A. Like I said, Stephen A. Basically was saying that, you know, there's no way that LeBron is not involved if Maverick Carter is involved. And he was also saying that, you know, that this is a response to the fact that LeBron James is likely not going to be able to own a team because he doesn't have any allies, because the owners are not, you know, they believe LeBron has done a lot to harm the product, and they're a fact, and that's a fact. But going back to, like I said, them is for anybody who is watching, there are clear things that tell you the game is not as competitive. Number one, the load management thing. So, you know, LeBron James is being praised for this player empowerment, right? Players have more power than ever. Players can control where they go. You know, they can do all these foolish things like James Harden. When you're trying to get out of a contract, you just come back in out of shape and not giving your all on the court. You know, players can do a lot of BS that they could not do. So for all this player empowerment, then you have people who want to get up and give them excuses for load management by saying, oh, well, it's not them, it's the doctors. It's not them, it's management. It's not them, it's this. When the fact of the matter is, if players can force their way out of situations and force their hand in all these different situations, if players wanted to play, that would be one of the easiest things for them to override. Again, back in the day when Michael Jordan was playing, he had the love of the game clause in his contract. And this was back in the day when players didn't have that kind of power. But Michael Jordan was already because he truly loved the game of basketball, that, hey, management, owners, none of you can stop me from playing the game when I want to play. So in this modern day age where players have more power than ever, you mean to tell me that they can't, that they couldn't play if they really wanted to? That they couldn't override what the doctors are saying? That they couldn't override what management is saying if they really wanted to? So yeah, don't, and that's part of being a competitor. That's part of wanting to be out there. The next thing is, again, the players not playing in the All-Star game. Players not playing in the All-Star game is a sure sign that you can try to make excuses all you want. You can give them all the excuses, and you can agree with the excuses that the players make, like, hey, well, you know, we look at that as a break in the season. It's an 82-game season, and it's so hard to, you know, when the All-Star break happens, we really want to just take a break. But hey, guess what? People who are naturally competitive, when they step on the court, they want to compete. Like it's not even it's just like a secondary thing. It's second nature. It's like, yeah, I want to break, but if I'm stepping out on the court with a bunch of people who people would view as potentially my equal, I'm out here to prove that that's not the case. If I'm on the court with a game to potentially win and have as another win in my record book for my team, I have to win. I have to play to win. I can't get on this court and just go through the motions and jack up a bunch of shots. I can't do that because I'm a competitor. Like, I have to compete. But we all know with the retirement of Kobe Bryant that was basically the retirement of the last person who was holding any kind of standard of competition in the league. LeBron James fanboys, your king does not hold a standard of competition in the league at all. Matter of fact, your king got punked by Kobe so many times that just that alone should make him not a top 5 player. He's not. But I'm saying to you fanboys, he shouldn't be a top 5 player based on that alone. The amount of times that Kobe Bryant has punked him. That alone should make him not a top 5 player. Not a top 10 player. Because to me, you can't be one of the greats and you don't respond to someone directly challenging you. Like directly getting on the mic and dismissing you as, someone asked him a question about one-on-one between him and LeBron, and he just really dismissive. Like, don't even mention LeBron in a sentence with me at one-on-one. Oh, but I forgot. According to LeBron, one-on-one is not real basketball. But yeah, so that ability to even step on the court and not have the drive to win, that ability to step on the court with people who, again, the All-Star game, these was like voted, right, the best players in the NBA, the All-Star game, meaning, if LeBron, you're on the court with Durant and Curry and Ant-Man and all these different All-Stars, and it's just not a natural thing to you to want to compete, to want to show the world that, no, these guys aren't on my level. They're just not on. That shows you the level of competitiveness that these guys are at compared to previous eras. That alone shows you. It's no argument you can make any other way. Obviously, the super teams. The super teams are a direct, let me be more specific, the player-made super teams. It's one thing for a franchise to somehow get lucky and be able to draft a bunch of great players. That's okay. That's one thing. That's out of your control as a player. But when you as a player, again, I've said this so many times, and you fanboys still get in my comments and strap on the knee pads for your king. I've said this so many times that, and it's not registering, but I understand why it doesn't register to you guys, because you guys have super low comprehension skills. But again, super teams, for a player to decide to go play on a team with someone else who is his direct competition. Again, the superstars in the league, that's your direct competition. You're not competing as a superstar. You're not competing against the role players. Well, unless you're LeBron James and Jason Terry. That's another story. Another example of why LeBron James should not be ranked among the greats. But yeah, as a superstar, you're supposed to be competing against the other superstars. It's supposed to be a superstar and his team against other superstars with their teams. Not all of the superstars joining up together to beat up on the lesser players. LeBron James is front runner extraordinaire. But again, this is another example of how these players are not really competitive. There's nothing you can do to explain this away. There's nothing you can say to justify this. And so if another league were able to come along and really analyze the NBA, really listen to the fans about why the fans do not have an interest in watching full games anymore. Because again, I bought League Pass for the first time this season, and I've probably watched maybe 4 or 5 games. I can't even remember at this point. I stopped watching so quickly because I just found myself, watching a 3-point shooting contest and was just disgusted. I'm watching 3-point shooting contests. I'm watching players travel. I'm watching players whine after every call that they feel that they should have gotten. And it's just like, what are we watching? Like, you bunch of crybabies. Like, compete. But that is not the generation of NBA we are watching. This is the generation of not competing. This is the generation of I want all the credit without having to put in the same amount of work. This is the generation of I really just want the fame and to be mentioned with the greats, again, without putting in all the work. This is the generation of I truly believe, like I said before, if these guys could purchase championships, then they would just do that. They would just fork out the money. If championship trophies were $10 million apiece, I have no doubt that some of these players would just purchase some championships without having to win them. That's where we're headed. If this trend of becoming less and less competitive, because that's the other thing. We're gonna hold up. But I said this was gonna turn into sort of a rant. But the 3-point shooting, to me, is also that in itself is not competitive. The 3-point shooting is not competitive. The 3-point shooting is the easy way out. To just run from 3-point line to 3-point line, jacking up shots, that takes so much less effort than actually setting up an offense and running some plays and trying to get inside and the constant switching on defense. It just, the game looks like it's not any effort being put behind it. And who can support that? Who can support that when we come from a generation of saying, like, it looked like you had to have some skills to get it bucket because of the physicality. Like, you had to have some skills. It wasn't an easy way. But anyway, we gonna hold up here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. First of all, what do you think of this supposed potential new rival to the NBA that Maverick Carter is advising on, that supposedly LeBron James has nothing to do with? And do you think LeBron James has nothing to do with it? And do you think that a league where LeBron James or anyone of his associates has anything to do with it can actually be successful? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You all have a truly fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. All right.